The whole jackass concept is built on controversy, a surefire strategy for success. The marketing people just love it.
There's no such thing as a movie that is not exploited by the marketing people. But it's not like they create any kind of thing that goes along with it. It just goes hand in hand.
Sometimes a movie stirs up so much controversy that the whole world is talking about it. This can actually be a good thing. It makes people go and see the movie, even if it's just to see what all the fuss is about. In 2005, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt starred in a little movie called Mr. and Mrs. Smith. The movie received a lot of press, but not because of its dramatic qualities. When Pitt started shooting the movie, he was married to Jennifer Aniston. By the time shooting ended, though, he was part of a little something called Brangelina, and their story hit headlines all around the world. And the movie itself? Well, with an estimated gross of $478 million, it was one of the top-selling movies of 2005.
You have to do that when you're making a movie, is like be really clear about what your point of view is and what the movie's about, where the humor is coming from, if it's a comedy. And we were always clear with ourselves, like the movie is about actors and making fun of actors and the process that actors go through and the lengths actors go through to be taken seriously and how ridiculous that can be. So that was, to me, always the lens that everything was focused through.
Ben Stiller is talking about his movie Tropic Thunder, which was controversial, but not for the reasons that Stiller thought it would be. People weren't at all offended by Robert Downey Jr. portraying an actor who undergoes extensive surgery to play a black soldier. But there was a lot of controversy about the use of the word retard, which offended some disability groups even before they saw the movie. Stiller does think controversy can be a good thing, though.
I think, in a way it is, I think, because people talk about it, and they talk about the movie and they'll have points of view. I think, you don't want to have controversy just to do something that's just quote-unquote controversial. You don't want to just make a movie just to get a reaction. I never even thought there would be any about this. I felt like that surprised me. I felt like the movie was pretty clear in its point of view and where the humor was coming from, and it's interesting to me how people react, and, you never know.
Some movies are just bound to be talked about. Take 2009's big Oscar winner, Slumdog Millionaire. There was outrage when word got out that its child stars had to return to their life of poverty in the slums of Mumbai when the shooting was over. And the independent movie Juno was criticized for making teenage pregnancy look cool. Look at Orphan. Its title alone was set to raise some cautious eyebrows, so it's no surprise adoption agencies were wary of how the film would turn out. The movie's director thinks all the fuss is pretty ridiculous.
They got angry at a line that we had in the trailer, and I understand that, and we changed the line. And it should have ended there, but they were just continuing to, try to boycott. Nothing ever happened, When the film came out and somebody must have seen it, they all shut up because there's nothing, we're not making an anti-adoption film. We're making a horror film that is pure fiction, and that if anybody decides whether to adopt or not based on this film, they shouldn't be adopting in the first place,
The first movie to be made about 9/11 obviously drew a lot of publicity. United 93 was directed by Bourne director Paul Greengrass, and even its trailers were criticized for being too much like an advertisement for an action thriller movie. The film was released only 5 years after the tragic event, but in the end it won critical acclaim, even though a lot of people thought it was made too soon.
I certainly asked myself that question before I made the film. I don't believe it is too early. Certainly the families of those who lost their lives on board this aeroplane were very clear that it was not too early. On the contrary, many of them felt it had taken too long. And what was interesting was once people saw the film, that feeling dispersed. People understood that it was a serious film and a responsible film and been made in the right way.
When American author Dan Brown wrote The Da Vinci Code, he might have realized the book could cause a little controversy. So when The Da Vinci Code and its follow-up Angels and Demons were made into movies by Ron Howard and Tom Hanks, it was a surprise to no one that its content was fiercely debated by religious groups. However, controversy rarely has a negative impact on a movie, something that marketing people are well aware of. On the contrary, when they hear the word controversy, they see dollar signs.
I think that in this case, the Dan Brown stories stir that kind of thing, and they're part of what's intriguing or engrossing about them. It's part of the way that they entertain. And so, you know, I'm not surprised that the movie has stirred some of that. But likewise, you know, the spokesman from the church attacking a movie that they haven't seen. And so, you know, maybe they're doing the same thing. Maybe they're trying to utilize this moment to get their message across.
Controversies come in many shapes and forms. Some are actually about the movie, and others are not at all. But in the end, nothing really changes.